Hello people, today I want to raise a topic which probably no photographer or industry expert is talking about as of now, which is the future of camera and imaging industry. Now I've been watching lots of online live sessions as well as videos wherein photographers are helping in sharing their knowledge about various genres of photography, and even I too shared a video last week on travel photography. But having said that, I thought as most of the photographers are already sharing a lot of ideas and tutorials, then I should rather share my views on the entire scenario that is happening right now. So I'll divide this video into two sections. We will talk about camera industry, that is the companies, brands and how they are doing right now, particularly in this video, and then part two, the situation of photographers, which we will be producing in a second video, and probably next week we'll upload that particular video. Now just to give you an idea, I worked as a senior aviation and military photojournalist and then worked in a camera company, and now back to my turf as an aviation and travel photographer and DOP. As I mentioned that I worked in one of the camera companies for a good amount of time. I've been a part of many strategies the companies make to sell and market the camera, as well as I've seen all the Excel sheets, statistics, figures, and to an extent also contributed in the growth of a company I was working in. So I feel I have a decent understanding of what the market was, how it is today, and what may happen tomorrow. Now, I'm not an astrologer, neither an economist. I will just share some key facts based on which we can assume certain things. So let's start with camera companies and their current situation as well as what's in store for the future. But to begin with, let me give you a brief idea about what was the situation before this particular major global outbreak. If you see the statistics of the year 2000 in terms of camera shipments globally, it was close to 1.03 crores approximately, and this was a very good leap in terms of growth from the year 1999. This growth was evaluated as 200% growth. Now let's talk about the year 2010-11 fiscal year. The camera shipment was 12.1 crores. This includes all kind of cameras. Out of this, the DSLR shipment was close to 1.3 crores. So you can say by that time, major chunk of revenue for the camera companies was coming from compact cameras and not the DSLRs. But still, comparing it with the year 2000, it was significantly higher in 2010-11. Almost after 10 years. Now coming to year 2012, by the year 2012 the DSLR numbers reached to 2 crores, which was again higher as compared to financial year of 2010-11, but then this was the same year when compact camera market started to show reduction in numbers. Now we must keep in mind that the camera worldwide was never a necessity. It was always considered as a luxury item, and in the country like India, I still remember when I was a schoolboy, a lot of parents used to borrow cameras from friends who used to own a camera, especially during vacations. So now the person who was about to buy a compact camera with the usage limited only once or twice a year during vacations, birthdays, and friends' wedding parties, thought, why shall I put my money on this device? Rather I should buy a smartphone because I can at least share those images instantly on social media. The refinement and massive technological development compared to almost not much development in compact cameras devastated the market of compact camera. Earlier, I remember a lot of companies were in denial mode that no phones cannot compete with us, but then gradually they stopped importing these compact cameras. Now comes 2019, that is last year. The shipment number was 1.5 crores, out of which the interchangeable lens cameras, which includes DSLRs as well as mirrorless cameras, was 84 lakhs only. So quite a drastic dip from the year 2010, which was 12 crores, to 1.5 crores in 2019, and it all just happened in 10 years. Now the reason I think why it happened was because during the same time iPhone was launched in India. If I am not wrong, it was 2010-11, and the very next year onwards the decline in compact camera was pretty much visible, and today I don't see them anywhere in the shelves of any retailer. The major turning point, or the only feature which I feel made this happen, was image sharing feature on phones. Gradually, with the growth of social media, the image sharing feature became the requirement of anyone who liked clicking photos, not talking about professional, but in general. The biggest mistake done by the camera brand was not adding SIM card slots or way of using a camera like a phone. And I feel today if smartphones can come with better cameras, then it was not impossible to add a SIM card slot into a camera. In fact, Nikon did came up with an Android camera of course without a SIM card slot in it. But again, they hardly marketed it. That could have been a game changer for the camera companies, because today people prefer phones with better camera, and the quality of camera is one of the major decisive factor in buying a phone. Who wouldn't have preferred to have a Nikon or a Canon, or for that matter Fuji phone with good optics and a camera sensor? Nevertheless, you can say whatever you want today, time has changed now. But on the other hand, sales of DSLRs was going up, so most of the camera brands became very bullish about it and started running aggressive marketing campaigns focusing on DSLRs. And in the year 2013-14 comes mirrorless technology. Now mirrorless cameras were floating around by companies like Sony, Lumix, but companies like Nikon, Canon never considered them these companies in the league. Back in 2013-14, they were not considered as competition, and during the same time Nikon and Canon came up with few small mirrorless cameras in India. But then both of them thought, since Sony is not doing so great in mirrorless and compact camera market is gone, in which Sony Cybershot was almost leading in the past, so nothing to worry about. And then both these companies, that is Nikon and Canon, dropped their mirrorless, at least the import of these cameras, though in other countries these small mirrorless cameras were doing pretty well. But again, coming back to our point, in 2014-15 Sony made some aggressive plans of pushing the mirrorless technology as the next big thing. From the year 2013 till 2014, the major players like Nikon, Canon were joined by Sony and Fuji, and both Nikon and Canon were primarily focusing on APS-C sensors market. But then soon they realized that the other two companies have absolutely no hold in full frame technology and professional wedding photography market. Though Sony had a full frame, but it was way too expensive compared to Nikon and Canon, so the entire focus went towards wedding photographers and capturing more wedding photography market. With improvements in mirrorless technology and with the help of indirect motto of change is the only constant thing, Sony managed to put its foot into wedding photography market. If you analyze, since the first full-frame digital SLR technology was introduced, nothing substantial was improved in DSLRs. Except video feature in DSLR and time-lapse feature, I personally don't think there is any other feature which helped photographers increase their income directly. It is said that if you are bored of something at times, you just change just for the heck of it. I mean to say, you just change just to feel good. Mirrorless technology gave a feel good factor to the so-called bored DSLR photographers by adding EVF electronic viewfinders. Companies started convincing the professionals how EVF, lightweight, compactness of a camera, etc., is useful for their business. And by the year 2016, companies dealing only in mirrorless cameras started becoming quite popular amongst professionals. Looking at that, Nikon once again jumped into mirrorless, followed by Canon later in 2018. 2018-19 has seen some of the finest, if not the best, cameras in terms of mirrorless technology, especially full frame. Back-to-back product launches and things were looking very competitive and favorable for photographers, but the only issue is all companies want a piece of wedding photographers, whereas the enthusiast and serious hobbyist market is much bigger than wedding photographers market, or for that matter professional photographers market. Camera is still and will remain a luxury item for many. Even if you look at a professional, she doesn't buy a camera every year. Professionals tend to buy more of accessories rather than investing in a camera. With the rise of social media, the market for content creators and the race of sharing better pictures have created a huge market for enthusiasts and hobbyists. Unfortunately, many companies fail to create any photography culture in India. Nikon did pretty well from 2011 till 2015 by enhancing learning not just in terms of camera demos but also catering to imparting knowledge in various genres of photography by conducting photo tours, workshops, photo walks under Nikon school banner. But then also they lost the track by putting their entire focus on wedding photographers. Companies became so obsessed with wedding photographers that even brands who were making camera only for enthusiasts, they started marketing themselves for wedding photographers. Let me ask you one question. When I say the term bike riding, which brand comes in your mind? Think Royal Enfield, right? When I say smartphone, what comes to your mind? Which brand? iPhone, right? But unfortunately, none of the camera companies were able to build this kind of symbolic image in consumers' mind, which is again, like I said, unfortunate because photography is an art form. It was pretty easy for brands to create such kind of image by talking and sharing more about photography. Though 2019 was looking very promising, few companies did come up with cameras useful for content creators and beginners. But again, the primary focus was weddings only. There were a lot of famous photographers and are a lot of famous photographers who switched brands and were acting as an influencer for those companies and brands who were more interested in their followers on social media rather than in their photography, which even they were aware about. But having said that, no company ever did any market research with the help of unbiased third-party agency of a repute to draw that how many photographers actually buy a camera by getting influenced by that particular influencer. And one more point, that some of the influencers, obviously not all, have lakhs and millions of following on social media, but when they post something, they end up getting few hundred likes or a couple of thousand likes only. This small research was good enough to draw the fact that those followers are not organic. But any which ways, no such research was done. Now cut to 2020. Everyone is aware about what we are going through right now. I don't foresee any major public gathering happening this year. So no weddings, no major public events, no sporting events, no festivals. Who are they going to sell the cameras now? Because the focus was only professionals, and if there are no events happening, no one will put their money on camera or even for that matter any gear. With an estimated 30 lakhs plus shipment containers currently stuck in China, not going anywhere, a lot of companies who rely on the products and components inside them are bound to get affected. Canon has, as of now, suspended 3 of its factories due to supply shortages caused from China. Note that most products labeled made in Japan still contain plenty of parts and sub-assemblies that are made in China. Note, China also being a huge market for camera manufacturers, the loss of revenue from sales within China and from Chinese shopping in camera stores around the world will definitely be a big dent. Now the question is, what will be the future? Now I am not an economist, but as I see, all the brands are clueless. As of now, I don't see any plan in place, because if the governments and world leaders are clueless, then camera brands are no different. Now some say that certain camera brands are operating few lucrative business of medical equipment, industrial instruments, consumer durables, and hence camera is a very small division for them, so they won't be affected. But I want to ask, if you are running a business and one division is going under losses over the period of years and another division is doing good, why the hell you will pump money earned from one division and put it into another division? Rather you are going to dilute that liability, right? Shutting a division is not something new. I feel companies with huge overheads will have a tough time rather than brands with small setups in the country. March was a very crucial time for companies in terms of allocating budgets, but then now things have changed and I am sure priorities will change. Few companies have adopted somewhat confident strategy of at least creating a hype by announcing the specs of upcoming cameras and continuously bombarding the online media with the upcoming cameras, but many other brands are silent watching. Probably they were eyeing to crack numbers on the product introduced in 2019 by aggressive campaigns in 2020, but now I feel is the time where brands may rethink about their strategies. Now when I say strategies, I am talking about strategies in terms of distribution and sales. Earlier, many brands used to run away from e-commerce platforms, but I strongly feel most of them would want to join the e-commerce wagon now after seeing what has happened in the past couple of months. If company comes with their own e-commerce portal, which is very well in place in country like United States of America, it won't surprise me. Minimizing the overheads by not paying heavy rentals for office premises, talking more about photography so as to stay alive in the consumer's mind, which will in turn help in building photography culture, should be considered now, because focusing on sales will be a waste of time. The said thing can only be done by brands who have budgets to sustain at least for 1 year. So that's it for the first part of this video, rise and fall of the camera industry, past, present and future. I will be back with the second part soon, focused more towards photographers and the suggested course of action. I hope you like this video. Like, share, subscribe for more informative videos, not just related to photography industry, but also related to photography genres. Stay tuned. Until next time, bye for now.